Okay, so after we gone through the basics of building basic two rooms, what I'm gonna be doing here is just creating the entire environment of all it's gonna be is just an environment that we can walk around in, and it's also gonna be used to do my later tutorials. And right now it's double the speed, so you can see more of what I'm doing. So it's more of not actually how to do it, but the workflow that I use to create a simple environment in Hammer. So now all I'm doing is a lot of duplicating of the same brushes that I already have, and moving them around, and just creating from a single central position, and I'm just expanding outside of my environment, creating hallways, creating rooms, doorways. Right now in front of me, as I was creating this, I do have a sketch, top-down view, so I know what I'm making before I just start and jumping in the editor. So I highly recommend you have a sketch of a top-down view of what you're creating. It will make your environment creation faster and more proficient, and you won't be asking yourself a lot of questions. It's like, where should I do here? Where am I gonna put this? So you just kind of flow better. So here I'm just duplicating the floor, the walls, and the ceiling, and just moving them, expanding. I'm also making sure that my scale is correct, as I'm also duplicating my character scale and moving it to new locations. And here I am applying developer textures, because I find it a lot easier to work with as opposed to actually going and texturing as I'm working. So I need to be blocking in my environment and not worrying about what texture that I see or what texture I'm going to be applying. So here I'm quickly going through my environment and reapplying the developer texture. And here I have it all blacked out back to my developer texture, so we can continue on to expand our environment. So basically it's going to be a very kind of hotel looking building that's going to be set on top of the mountainscape. So our environment is going to include all possible things that we will be covering in the Hammer later, like terrain, environment lights, including all the gameplay elements. So my purpose for this environment was to create something interesting that has interior and exterior, and so I can show you how I go about and teach you all the things inside Hammer, like setting up zombies, breakable doors, breakable windows, setting up exterior lights, setting up terrain, and displacement maps, and such. So here I am continuing to expand, building hallways, building more rooms, extending out. So this is still interior. And as you can see, I'm not really worried about the void, because I know everything's going to be closed in by the time I'm done. So I am taking the floor from previous room and shift to dragging and duplicating into another area. I'm also duplicating my character scale, seeing if it's correct to the entire environment. So I am constantly referring back to my scale character to know that I am on scale. And that's the one part that I always struggled in the beginning, is making sure that all of my environments stay to scale. So, and this is the easy way, is just keep referring back to your environment character that you have in your scene. So here I'm just placing a few objects, and I'm not actually adding props at this stage. All I'm doing is uh, put in reference objects that I might be using later, and at the same time it helps me with scale as well. So I'm just putting, this is going to be a little kitchen cafeteria area. So I'm just putting a table here, and here I'm just duplicating the same table and just switching out the model. That's another quick way to add props instead of putting in a prop static entity again. So all I'm doing is duplicating and just swapping out. So here again, I'm just putting it down, making sure that it touches the floor, and just checking the scale, looking back, seeing how the space is working, and here I'm changing the floor, thinking that that walkway where the table is going to be is a bit too big. So I'm creating a doorway here, and I'm not measuring anymore because I'm just taking the doorway from another space, another room, and just shift dragging. And here I'm creating another doorway. Shift dragging from another location, and I'm done with that part. Same with walls. So you can see that how fast you're able to just create new environments by taking the things you already created before from just a basic simple room. And I'm also jumping back and forth from top view to side view to perspective to check out how everything will look. So I'm always jumping between viewports, I'm always jumping back and forth and seeing how it looks. So here is going to be a bunch of windows. They're going to be looking outside into our exterior places, exterior space. That's going to come later in the tutorial. So I'm seeing how it all looks. This is actually based on a place that I visited in Switzerland last year. So I'll put up some pictures to show that it's not an exact replica, but it's inspired by it. So here I'm just moving back and seeing that one of my windows is a bit too big, so I'm just moving it back and creating a second doorway and put in the walls. And so I have a couple of doorways on one wall, and I'm going to have an exit area opposite of that as well. So that is all of that is interior space right now. So now I'm dragging the ceiling over. And checking how everything looks. So now I'm just gonna drag these part of the walls on the other side to close off our interior space. And later on we'll put the doors, the rotated doors in. So here I'm just taking the tables and I'm duplicating. This is the cafeteria area, and just seeing how it looks as we're inside. So I'm liking how this is turning out to be. So I'm changing the grid and putting in the future windows that are gonna go in there. So later we'll swap the window into an actual window texture. You'll be able to shoot through it and break it. So now I'm just taking the window from one place and just duplicating across. And it's looking good. So in later tutorials we will be covering, I will take the same and I'll just expand to exterior environment, exterior places. So the interior is complete, blocked in.